Halt! Not a step further. No one is allowed into the city without an entry permit.
You should go back to Origin.
Yeah.
Halt! Not a step. No one is allowed into the city without an entry permit.
You know counterfeit IDs are being sold right in front of your gate.
What? Have you got one? Show me. Well, that's good quality work, too. I'm not sure I would have spotted that as a fake. Thank you. We need citizens like you around here. You've done me a service, so I'll give you a valid ID. Just make sure you take this fake straight to Eric when you get inside, right? Oh, and there are some rules I need to tell you before you enter. First, stay away from the generators. Nobody but the technicians is allowed access to them. That sort of security is why we need to keep a rein on fake IDs. So take that fake straight to Eric, okay? Anyone you meet in the city who hasn't got proper documents, report them to him. We can only keep peace in the city if we all work together, and we keep the city secure. That's what was laid down by the Great Council of Magalan. And the Great Council gave the clerics the responsibility for guaranteeing the city's independence. That means everyone is welcome here, until they cause trouble. So keep the peace while you're in there. Our suggesters are busy enough without you adding to their workload. And that's it. You may pass.
I heard you hold people prisoner if they can't prove their identities.
Of course. Need a valid ID to enter or to leave. It's important we keep the right balance here, and that we can hold people accountable. We've worked hard to keep things running here. We can't start letting people flood in, or the troublemakers will take over. Anyone who tries to get around with ID is given straight to the suggesters to be taken care of.
What's happening in the city?
Nothing right now, but it's simmering. You can feel it. There was something building even before we let those Alp separatists in here. They just lit the touch paper. But hey, we're supposed to be a sanctuary, so someone decided to open the gates and let the separatists in.
How many separatists are there in the city?
Too many. Once an Alb, always an Alb. They still hit Elex. Just a matter of time before they turn back. I don't know what they want in the city. I'd heard a bunch of them had set up a base in the west of Abessa, so they could have gone there. If we weren't so busy here, we'd have tracked them down and cleared them out of Abessa. Last thing we need is Zakor thinking we're harboring rebels.
What's a suggester?
Our suggesters are the reason things remain peaceful in the city. If someone causes trouble, then they're either thrown out, see a suggester for reorientation, or both. But don't worry, it's a positive experience that will leave you happy about life. Even so, I recommend avoiding it.
You mentioned the Council of Magalan.
The Great Council, yes. You'll have to speak to Judicator Alois if you want to know more about that. I'm not that well informed on my history.
Who's Alois?
Alois is the Judicator in charge of the city. You'll find him in the castle. He likes to stay close to the generators.
Where can I find Eric?
Just go straight down the path into the inner city. You should find him there. Keep your pockets closed and your eyes open, unless you want to end up shardless and dead at the hands of those damn outlaws.
shouldn't stand around talking about these things.
You have things to do. Go and do them.
Be on your best behavior, all right? What is it you want?
Who are you?
You first. Come on. Who are you? There is something that is familiar about you, but I can't quite place it. No matter, I suppose. All people are welcome in Abessa, as long as they are prepared to forget their past. Even Albs are allowed in here. I think Albs would be perfect people if they weren't so emotionless. But then, that is why they are the only faction I have never belonged to.
What do you mean? You mean you want to become an Alb?
That's a long story. If you're really interested in my tale, then I will tell you, of course.
Tell me your story. How did you end up joining the clerics?
Right, I'll give you the full version. Well, the short version of the full version.
Just get on with it.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short. So, I grew up in Goliath in Edan. My father and mother were both born berserkers, and so that meant I was too. Back then, Bajar ruled over Goliath. As a child, I had no interest in the laws, of course. But when I was about 12 years old, one of the warlords came to our home. He took my parents, and I was left on my own to survive in the city. I remember him. I remember my parents leaving. And I remember me screaming. But everything else is gone. It's just a blur.
What happened to your parents?
Well, what else? They were exiled. Nobody ever told me why they were exiled. I still don't know what they did, even today. I hate the Berserker laws. Nothing against the Berserkers. They're just people. It's the laws I hate. I think what the Berserkers want to do with Magalan is right. But I can never forgive them for what they did to my parents. Why was I punished for whatever my parents did? Why wasn't I told what had happened? I swore never to return, and I haven't set foot in Edan again.
Where did you go?
Wherever I needed to survive. That meant running from reavers and wild animals. It didn't take long for some reavers to take me captive. And then, I don't want to talk about that. I was lucky, though. After several years, the Reavers were attacked by some of the Duke's outlaws, and they took me back to Tavar. I learned how to fight, how to live off scrap. Life wasn't much different from Edan, but there wasn't the same raptor shit. The laws. You could be who you were, and no one judged you.
Then why didn't you remain with the Alb?
Because the Reavers who'd taken me captive came to the fort and wanted to speak to the Duke. I think they wanted to take me back. I fled when they saw me. I didn't want to be taken back, or for them to kill me to hide their crime. When I left the fort, I ran into a cleric patrol. They convinced me to go to the Hort with them. Not that I really needed that much convincing. All those hours taking scrap apart and putting it back together in Tavar really paid off there. The clerics recognized that I was good with technology. So, I've been working on mechs and AI systems since then. Building things. Trusted. Part of a team. And it's easier being with mechs. They don't judge anyone. They treat everyone the same. Like this place. I know it's not perfect. But outlaws, berserkers, clerics, even elves are seen as people. At least that's the vision. Not always the way it happens. That's another reason to maintain these mechs. To protect what we have here. Well, I hope you find your place in the world. It's good when you do.
What are you doing here in Abessa?
I take care of the mechs and drones here in the city, which means I coordinate and plan their maintenance and upgrade. When I'm lucky, I get to roll up my sleeves and do some of the actual maintenance, which I'm having to do quite a lot with all the technicians we're missing. Say, are you good with technology?
I know the basics.
Unfortunately, that wouldn't be enough, I'm afraid. We don't really have time to train people on the job. Not if they're not going to stay here for good, and you don't look the type for that. On the other hand, if you're looking for some part-time work, I could still use your help. I have 4 people I've been told I should look at for taking the technician's job, but I don't have time to gauge their abilities. Would that be something you could do for me? I'd pay you.
Yeah, I'll talk to your candidates.
Great. The 4 names I have are Daryl, Naira, Rorik, and Riley. Though I'm really not sure about Riley. There's something about him I don't trust. But speak to each of them and let me know whether you think they might have the right skills and abilities for the job. Oh, and I'll need you to let me know about their loyalties. You know, can they work with clerics? Do they hate us? We'd be trusting them with the mechs and AI that defend the Dome City. So I don't want to employ anyone who might still be thinking about their faction, not our security.
About the candidate.
Yes?
Tell me about Naira.
Naira is an Elb separatist, so a bit of a long shot for loyalty. But she should have the technical ability we need. She's somewhere in the west of the city with the other separatists, in the slums.
You want to employ a separatist as a technician?
We need someone, and I don't think your faction always says who you are. Elves are usually very good with technology, but you're right. I don't know if we can trust her.
Tell me about Daryl.
Daryl is an outlaw. He's applied to be a technician, but I don't know why. So I want to know his motives and what his technical experience is. I'm hoping you can get that information. If he's skilled and trustworthy, then employing him might show that we do trust outlaws here. But I don't know that much about him. I don't even know where to find him.
What do you know about Rorik?
Rorik is a berserker. I think I last saw him somewhere around Vito's pub. It might seem weird to consider a berserker, but I was one once. And I know Rorik used to work extracting Elex from machines in Goliath, so he knows about technology. And I think I could teach him everything else that he needs to know. And it would show that we were reaching out to the berserkers who have come to the Dome City. Their magic is very powerful, and they're strong warriors. We will need their help if the Elves attack us from Zakor. But it'll be important to find out if he's prepared to have anything to do with technology before we think of offering him the job. Leave your hands where I can see them.
They say that, but you know they collect the Elex for themselves.
You should talk to someone else.
We have nothing
I
to
can't
talk
help you.
about.
Not now.
Tell me about the city.
Right, well, where to start? First off, a lot of people are avoiding the north of the city. This place always has something going on, but right now, there's really something brewing. That means the north isn't exactly welcoming unless you're a thug. The western section's safer. You're okay there as long as you don't break the law or look funny or say something the clerics don't like. The southern part, well, that is really quiet. Nothing really happens there, but wherever you are, you should know the clerics are watching. Alois, he runs this place and he hates thieves and beggars and trouble causers and pretty much anyone. He thinks he's God's messenger or something, and that means he's got one big old stick up his ass. So don't piss him off. If you ignore anything else, don't ignore that advice. Don't piss off the clerics. There now, you are fully informed. 1 shard, 2 shards. You'd think people could spare that, wouldn't you?
Stop sneaking around.
Huh. What do we have here? Fresh meat? How did you get the guard to let you into the dome? I'd watch out. They're probably trying to recruit you. You wouldn't be the first to come here looking for shelter only to end up bowing down to Kalan. However you got in, you're going to find it even harder to get out. The clerics are a little jumpy at the moment. You might say paranoid. So, when they do let someone in, it does make me wonder who they are and why the clerics thought letting them in was a good idea.
If it's so hard to get in, what are you doing here?
I got in before things got so paranoid. And I came here for profit, of course. Lots of nervous people close to the Alps tend to be willing to invest shards in their safety, you see. And getting hold of supplies is hard out here. So, if you can get them, you can sell them for a high price. Well, that was the plan. Now, the clerics have stopped me trading and cut off all the supplies.
And you just left.
Of course I didn't let them. But getting around their ban isn't simple. It's impossible to get by the guards without an ID card. And they took mine from me as part of their crackdown. Now they say I'm causing trouble. But what else is a businesswoman supposed to do when she has her business taken from her?
About your trade ban.
Yeah, don't tell me. Trading weapons can pose a danger to the community. But this is about self-defense. The only person who can stop a person with a gun is a person with an even bigger gun. Am I right? I mean, what? Are we supposed to throw rocks at the Alps when they attack? But the clerics want to keep all the guns for themselves and screw the rest of us. They call it neutrality, but I say it's oppression.
Sounds like you could use some help.
Yes, I could. Still, let's say he's right, and that I could get a hold of supplies. Not from Tavar, obviously. They've blocked that route. Let's say I could get some weapons from the Separatists, for example. Let's say they have weapons and need shards, and that they also have the business acumen of a stunned troll, so they need a salesperson. Me, for example. What if I was to say that? And what if I was to say that I have to find someone who could enter and leave the city freely? If I was to say that, then what would you say?
Do you really think you can trust the Separatists?
I can't leave without profit. Hell, right now I can't eat without profit. So I need this deal. So if you blab, what have I lost? Nothing. And without any guns to show, it's just your word against mine. And even Alois isn't going to see that as justice.
I could help you get your weapons.
Good. Right. So, this is what you need to do. Leave the city and find a separatist called Radok. I think he's a separatist. But whatever he is, he's a mad fucker. I can't make sense of most of what he says. But he has the weapons, and he likes trade. I think he likes trade. It's hard to tell. He wants to sell the weapons, but you'll have to work on him, okay? He won't just hand them over.
Where can I find Radok?
Up in the Highlands. When we last spoke, he told me he was going to head over to the northeast. He mentioned an abandoned wind turbine. With luck, he'll still be out there. Better armed is better prepared. You mark my words.
Hey, you.
Let me guess. I'm not allowed into the upper quarter?
What? No, everyone's allowed to move about freely here. I just have a question for you. You got here recently, right? I just want to know what things are like outside the dome. What's going on out there? Are the Alps attacking?
Why do you ask?
I'm interested. We're cut off here under the dome, safe from the world outside. so they pass us by like a river around a rock. Kalan gave us the knowledge, and now look what we've achieved. A safe harbor for all people. The clerics and Ignadon say we've strayed. I say we've found the true path.
You built the dome?
I designed the plans for it, then we built it together. My name is Eric, by the way. Chief engineer here in the dome. I'm in charge of all the generators and technicians who oversee them.
Why don't the clerics have a dome like this in Ignadon?
The dome requires immense amounts of energy, and the fluctuations in it have to be constantly balanced. The technology is complex. That means there's no way to cover the Hort with a shield like this. Besides, the cliffs around Hort give it a natural protection.
Can this dome survive an Albatek?
Of course. Why do you think we built it? As long as we can maintain a constant energy flow, then they can't get in. Unfortunately, achieving that isn't so easy. Some of the energy regulators are starting to malfunction again.
I can repair the energy regulators for you.
Thanks for the offer, but that's not necessary. I've already repaired the components. They just haven't all been installed yet.
About the broken energy. I will help you with the energy regulators.
I wanted to do it myself, but do you really think you could handle it? So, let's find out who you are. You should go to Ignadon one day. You could be a good cleric. Yeah, I know I left Ignadon behind, but they could offer you better training than I could. I have the energy regulator here. Please, take it to Lutz and help him to install it. Come back to me when you're done.
I have a forged ID for you.
Are you trying to get me angry? Let me guess. Gregor, the Dome Guard, sent you. I told him 1,000 times I'm not responsible for these things. Alois is the city's supervisor. You should report such matters to him. Go on, go and play Gregor's messenger boy.
I will take the ID to Alois.
Ah, no, it's all right, it's all right. Just give it here. I'll take care of it. Shit, I'm sorry I bit your head off. It's just, I've got enough to deal with without getting bogged down in the petty stuff. But Gregor keeps sending me every task he comes across. If there's trouble with the generators or the dome, then I'm your man. I have enough to deal with without counterfeit passes or toilet breaks for guards or shortages of hinges in the West Quarter. Still, that's not your problem. Thank you for bringing me the pass. Please, take your reward for honorable service to the Dome. I'll check to see who this ID was customized for. Then a suggester can take care of the rest. Deceit like this can only lead us to uncovering a greater lie.
Put that weapon away.